Joining us this morning is the host of Crawford County Outdoors. We have Mr. Duane Koller. Duane, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Luke. It's good to see you, too.
Listen, we got a lot to get into here, but I think the big question everybody wants to know is, are you hiding any Biden classified documents in your house, in your office?
Yeah, that's what those things are behind me. Oh, wait, no. Those are this. I'm in the man cave. So no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Well, how are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. Been having a lot of fun this year. This year was the French Creek River of the Year for Pennsylvania, and so we ended up doing, I think, a total of either 4 or 5 shows on the French Creek. Did an interview with Brenda Costa, the head of the French Creek Conservancy, and then we had the Cuswago Meanders. Dr. Henry Burkholder donated property, and so that was it. And that's happened a lot, actually. So we went and toured that property with him. We actually did a float down the creek with Brenda, and we had a great time with that. The French Creek Cleanup Day was in September, and we went and filmed that and had an interview with Brenda and all that. So that was a blast. But there's been a lot of things since then that have happened. My 2 favorite shows here were the 2 that were the most recent. The one that's just going to be coming out here in the next few days, my sister-in-law Jackie Orson has been, unfortunately, her car has been smashed up, I think, 4 times by running into a deer, and she had really never grew up in hunting, and all that kind of stuff, and was just very interested in kind of settling the score. So I took her hunting. We went to a friend's property, to Dr. John Ziegler's property last year, and we were climbing up, and he gave us a key to get into his tree stand that's like a little building, and climb up, and the windows pop open and everything. And I'm climbing up there, and I'm opening the door, and I made a squeak in the door, and this deer goes sprinting away. And I was so disappointed that she didn't get a chance at it. Well, we climbed up in there this year, and there was a deer, and it had to be, I thought it was 125 yards away, and I talked to John after. He says he knows the area real well, and he says, no, that's almost 200 yards where that deer was.
Wow.
So her first deer ever, she was able to get at about 150, 175 yard shot, which was just amazing. So that show's going to come out. I think it's going to come out next week.
And that'll air on Armstrong's Neighborhood channel, but it is on YouTube right now, so folks
It's on YouTube now. Yes, it's on YouTube now.
So let me ask you about that moment. You're sitting next to her, and there's that like look of surprise on her face. That split second. What was that like for you and for her to be in that position and like when she realized what she had done?
That was so exciting. That was just a total thrill. She had. Like I said, she'd gone out. We had gone out 2 or 3 times last year, and the one deer we saw, I spooked it. Unfortunately, was I was opening the door to the treehouse, so she'd never gotten the chance. So she was so excited. Now down the road, she's hoping to get a buck and have something hanging on the wall. I guess like you can see, kind of hanging on the wall at my house here.
Yeah.
But the big thing is. Our celebrity chef Lisa Beck, she's got wonderful recipes, and I have to bring home a deer every year because my wife had gallbladder surgery here, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, something like that. We can't have any pork, can't have any beef or whatever, because the fat that's in there in that meat is totally different than the deer. It's just that's one thing people, yes, the things hanging on the wall, those are really cool, and that's all, but it's all about the food. To me that's, and every once in a while if you get a buck, that's great, and you have something to put up on the wall. But the food is the awesome thing, and I go with a bunch of guys when I go out. Over my shoulder there, this one over here, that was brand new from this year, and that's the first time I actually got a buck with my group of friends from Utica, Pennsylvania. Utica's down below Cochrane and between Cochrane and Franklin. And the very first deer drive of the year, the guys were driving and I was a stander, and that buck ran. It was 10 yards from me. And so about this time last year, we did a show on how to make the deer skull, to mount it on the wall. So I just literally it's been up there for 2 days now. I just finished it up and hung it on the wall there. So so that was a blast. But all the guys that I go with in the Utica group, all they want to talk about is hey, that recipe that Lisa came up with, so I always make photocopies of all her recipes and bring them down and share them with them because that seems to be the most popular part about the outdoor show is the recipes.
Well, you said that to Lisa in this episode, but I want to get into that because I don't think people realize all the work that you put into this show, and I want to talk about that in a moment. But first, I was just thinking you should put all these recipes together and release the Crawford County Outdoor Cookbook for the holidays next year.
Was actually thinking about that. That's not a bad idea. I was thinking about that. I try and make a photocopy of them and put them on our Facebook page. Every time there's something that's very very unique and very unusual. This fall we had a show with the hunters sharing the harvest, where if you end up with an extra deer and you want to donate it, for folks who are short on food. Lisa made a recipe that time with the backstrap. I mean, the backstrap is the kind of some people call it tenderloin. It's like a lot of people's most favorite part of the deer. And Lisa made a recipe that's kind of like a pulled pork. You make sandwiches with it, and that is just awesome. I mean, that is just tremendous. And my wife she's the one who's doing research all the time, coming up with a bunch of new recipes, and she'd come up with that one here about a year ago, and everyone loved that one. And that's what a lot of the guys wanted to talk about was, hey, how do you do that? So it's like you take a cast iron pan, and you kind of fry the thing, and you just kind of peel it with the fork or a little knife or whatever, and then you make sandwiches, and then put a little bit of cheese on the top and put it in the oven and melt the cheese, and it's just wonderful, just wonderful.
How much of that aspect of it is doing the research and creating or trying to find unique ways of prepping the stuff that you guys actually get during the show and you bring back? Is it a little bit of here's how we could make it today? Is there research in here's maybe how they would have done it 100 years ago? What kind of goes into the process of coming up with the recipe?
We're kind of all over the place with that. I get a magazine that comes deer hunting. I probably have a copy of it laying around. I do have a copy of it laying around here, and it always has a recipe or two. Each edition of the magazine has a recipe or two. My wife she's constantly researching because I'm always bringing home stuff to put in the oven, and so she's always looking up stuff, and the same with Lisa. Lisa is looking up stuff too, and at her house there are 3 hunters at her house, and they're always bringing home. But each one's always bringing home a deer, so she's always looking up stuff too. So it works out great.
So let's go into the anatomy of the show, because I know you, in this last episode you even said to Lisa, boy, a lot of people want to know what you're doing, and you're the star sort of thing. But Duane, people really enjoy watching your adventures in the outdoors with folks and discovering new things, learning new things, or even teaching folks things. How much time do you put into an episode on average?
Usually several days per episode. That seems to be the way it goes. Unfortunately, when Jeff Corey passed away a few years ago, Jeff would always be with me with the camera, and every once in a while, Kevin and Jeff would both be with me with the camera. And since that change occurred a few years back, I ended up needing to not every time, but most of the time, film the whole thing myself. So I've worked out ways to have I have what's called a lid cam, and it hangs on the brim of your hat, and you push the button and turn it on, and in fact that deer over my shoulder, the deer's running at me, and so you hold the button down for 1001, 1002, 1003 to start to turn the power on, and then there's a second button, and you hit record. So I'm all excited because I'm thinking I'm recording that deer like it was maybe 20 seconds or whatever. It's starting to run across this big field, and it comes up right towards me, whatever. Here, I hit the power button, it turned the power off. Oh. so I didn't record that. I didn't record that one. But the big thing for me is making sure we get some a way that we can explain what's going on, like you just said, explain what's going on, and then get some video clips and all that kind of stuff. But those wearable cameras are really, but that's been a very, very helpful thing here, and we've really kind of moved that way here in the last 4 or 5 years or whatever to record things. I mean, and Kevin Tomney does a phenomenal job with taking all those things and putting them all together, and then making them into a great show. So I'm in touch with him all the time. So it's a whole combination of those things.
Well, and the other part of that too is when you have the stuff on you, the perspective's a little different. So it's really like this is what you're seeing, in real time. I mean, it's pretty impressive. But let's do this real quick, Duane. Duane Koller with us here this morning. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel, and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. When you look at Crawford County, have you pretty much been everywhere, or are there parts you go, boy, you know what, we got to figure out how to get, and maybe here and explore this area?
I think we pretty much cover the whole county. It was about a year and a half ago. We did a show at Pymatuming I guess it was about a year ago. We did a show on Pymatuming, a history of Pymatuming with the lady that's in charge out there. And I never really heard half the story. I didn't know this, but during World War II, I guess the plant that made the torpedoes for the warships and for the submarines and everything, tested the torpedoes at Pymatuming Lake. I never heard that story.
Wow.
So she had pictures of it, and the guys testing them and everything. We've been for a number of years. We went and did a number of things up in Conneautville in the far northwest corner of the state with the Scattergun Reserve, which unfortunately is closed up shop now, but we had done a number of things over there. We do things over at Canadota Lake, which is in the far northeast corner of Crawford County, and I've done things with you guys over there in Titusville a number of times, and so we cover the county pretty good. I'm happy about that. Whenever I hear things, it's somewhere out and about in a different spot. I enjoy getting out and moving it around a little bit.
What when you look at the sport and just being out there, there's so many wonderful things, right? You get to be out in nature. Maybe it's dad and son, dad and daughter, mom and son, mom and daughter going out. What are some things that you want people to know about being outdoors and being responsible when it comes to doing these recreational things?
When the whole COVID thing came along, everybody locked down, and to me it was like, so get outdoors. Don't be locked in the house, because that's your chance to catch the thing from somebody else is going to be locked inside is going to be the worst. So get outside. I've kind of always been an outdoors guy. I always liked doing outdoor stuff, and I guess the bottom line is. I think there's a whole lot of folks in Crawford County who look at it that way too. This is we had a show back in, I believe it was at the tail end of November and played in December about pheasant hunting. Crawford County is the number one county in the state of Pennsylvania where pheasants get released.
Oh wow!
We're kind of an outdoor, we're kind of an outdoor area, and get outside and have some fun, because that's what this area is all about.
When you're looking at 2023, do you have things mapped out, or how do you kind of plan the episodes?
Well, at this point, I got so excited last year when we had the whole French Creek, being changed as the French Creek River, of Pennsylvania, the River of the Year. So I was kind of wanting to make a whole bunch of things, and so this year we haven't planned it out yet. So we're just kind of starting to work on that now. So we'll keep in touch with you on all that, and there'll be a whole, I'm sure there'll be a whole variety of things this year. Last year we were kind of all over the place with the river stuff. We had the paddle fest again. We had the veterans hunt back in the winter last year, and then the railroad museum was just reopened. It used to be a store down off the parkway, off the French Creek Parkway, and now it's a railroad museum. We had a couple of episodes about that. Someone from Armstrong that has a kid that was going to the Boy Scout camp that's down what's the little town down? It's south of Cochrane, anyways. We went and did an episode down there to kind of introduce the Boy Scout camp. That was really cool. That was a lot of fun. That was back in the summertime last year. So we were kind of all over the place with all kinds of fun things last year, and I bet you it's going to be the same this year.
And I'm sure that makes it really enjoyable. So, are you far enough along where people are coming up to you saying, "Here's an idea. Here's an idea"?
That actually does happen all the time. It's funny. I go to the grocery store, and most of the time people want to talk to me about Lisa's recipes. But I do get suggestions from folks. I get suggestions from folks about, hey, did you ever think about having a show about, actually that's a great idea. But, so I look into it, and that seems to be how it goes sometimes. Yeah.
Well, they're probably shocked to see you at the grocery store. They just assumed you just go outside and bring in your dinner.
Well, you got to go to the grocery store to get the stuff to cook all the things. Yeah, you have to go there. Yeah. So, boy, and the way that the inflation and everything has gone this year, I'm really happy to have the meat, from the freezer from the deer and from pheasants and all that kind of stuff, because it's just been crazy. Oh my!
We were just talking about that, Duane. When you hear those stories and you see like the price of eggs, and you think, boy, you drive around, northwest Pennsylvania here around Crawford County, and it seems like people are selling eggs on the side of the road with corn and other things. You go, I don't understand this, but obviously there's issues there.
Crawford County, like I said before, is kind of an outdoors area, an area where you have some local farms around. We're actually lucky to have those things available to us, because I saw that story about eggs on the news here just in the last couple of days, and they're going to be like $6 a dozen or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So hopefully our local farms. I mean, I almost always buy eggs that's out just near Spartansburg. There's an egg farm, and I drive past there, and I always that's where we always get our eggs at our house, and I haven't been up there in the last couple of months here, so we'll see how that all goes, and hopefully they're still available. But apparently there was some chicken disease that's knocking down the chickens, and then of course all the loss of supplies and all the kind of things that's going along from the crazy stuff with the inflation. So I think we have an advantage being in Crawford County of having farms here nearby.
And as you said, great opportunity just to get outside and enjoy nature. The latest episode is available on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel's YouTube page. It's going to air in the next few weeks, you said?
I think it's probably going to start on Monday.
Okay.
The one that was playing recently was that Pymatuming one that we were talking about. That was the really cool history. It's funny, something. Pymatuming is the largest lake in Pennsylvania, and here it is right in Crawford County. I mean, like about 85% of it is in Crawford County, and a little bit's in Ohio. But the history of that, I didn't know. I didn't know all that stuff, and that was so awesome. I really enjoyed that. And they're shooting torpedoes at Pymatuming Lake, to test them out for World War II. Holy mackerel! I had never heard that. That was awesome.
Duane, great catching up with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Luke.
All right, thank you. That's Duane Koller joining us here this morning, host of Crawford County Outdoors on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel.